The Isles of Scilly, a group of islands 45 kilometres or 24 nautical miles off the Cornish coast in southwest England, full of wildlife and incredible scenery. There are 5 main inhabited islands, St Mary's being the largest, Tresco, St Martin's, Briar and St Agnes. There are many other smaller islands which are a haven for wildlife. Join me as we embark on exploring the islands and uncovering what wildlife it has to offer. We travelled by boat on the Scillonian III.
Yeah, that's right.
We went from Penzance to St Mary's, a crossing that is normally renowned for being quite rough. Thankfully, the sea was calm, and we even managed to spot a porpoise or two along the way. Our base for 2 weeks was a campsite within an old garrison on the island of St Mary's. The defences of the garrison are one of the most impressive coastal defence systems in England. They have been used for hundreds of years up until World War II to defend the Isles of Scilly from attack. Now, the garrison walls are home to many forms of wildlife. One of the first things you spot when you have a meal at the campsite is the sheer abundance of wildlife. From rabbits, sparrows, starlings, thrushes, doves, and more. Sparrows are very common on the island, and in some places are very tame, and will literally take food from your hand. To get to the other off-islands, you need to go by boat. Some islands are more accessible than others, depending on the tides. One of our first off-island trips was to the island of St Agnes and stopping by the island of Annet. On the surrounding rocks we saw seals. Guillemots guarded many of the rocks as well as shags. There were plenty of puffins too, nestling into the rocks and bobbing about on the sea. Later that evening, to celebrate what we had seen, we enjoyed a barbecue by the shore. The sunsets on the island are spectacular. You can often see seals if you go out on a special boat trip, but sometimes, if you look carefully, you can see them from the shore. It's normally just their heads poking out above the water. On one day, we took a walk around to Porthelic Bay. There were signs telling you not to go onto certain parts of the beach because ringed plovers were there. After a short wait, one emerged from the dune grass. What a sight! Oyster catchers are a common sight on the islands. They are very distinctive with their carrot-shaped beaks. Island life is fascinating to be a part of, and so much of life on the Isles of Scilly revolves around the sea. Every week there are traditional gig races between the islands. The gigs are fast, narrow rowing boats. It dates back to a time when the gigs were used by the islanders to help ships in trouble, and now they race for fun. When you wander down to the rocks, you often see some form of bird life. This curlew, with its famously long pointed beak, was down by the water's edge. There are so many interesting things to see on the islands. On one evening stroll, we saw a black rabbit. Agapanthus are a very common sight on the islands during spring and summer. The Isles of Scilly are an incredible place and full of wildlife wherever you turn. You just need to be willing to look. With stunning scenery and natural beauty, it's the perfect place for a wildlife adventure.